Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Yes, that's where we're from, with great recent recordings of the classics. Performances since the year 2000 that let us know that the future is safe and everything will be well. Well, at least most things will be well, because simultaneously with this series, I've been doing works that are in trouble in the 21st century. And one of those composers who is probably most in trouble, excuse me, is Hector Berlioz, for sure. Because Berlioz, as I point out, has always been in trouble. I mean, there have always been very few Berlioz people out there. One of you said, well, what is a great recording of the Symphony fantastique since 2000? We were talking about Michael Tilson Thomas, for example, but that was 1998 when that was recorded. Sorry, doesn't quite make the cut. But I do have one that does. It's this one. Marek Janowski with the Pittsburgh Symphony on PentaTone, assuming you can still find it. PentaTone seems to be very careless about marketing and keeping things in print. They really are. But this was recorded in 2009. October, November 2009. Of course, it says live recording. Well, of course, if it was recorded over 2 months, it can't possibly be a live recording, can it? No recordings are live recording. It was recorded in concert, as they say in French, which is the correct way to do it. One of you pointed that out to me in the comments, and I thank you for that. You also get a terrific King Lear Overture. So it's a wonderful disc. It's coupled with, it's well coupled, and this is a fabulously played and very intelligently performed Symphony fantastique. Now, Janowski is not a Charles Munch. You can read my review of this on ClassicToday.com, where I basically said that. He's not going to go crazy. He's not of the insanity league. Colin Davis wasn't either. And he was a great Berlioz conductor. So, you can do it both ways. And the comparison I made in my original review, and listening to this again recently, I stand by that, is Igor Markevich. Because Janowski is a very detail-oriented, but not fussy detail-oriented and musical guy. Some people swear by his recording of Wagner's Ring, the one that was on Eurodisc, remember, which is very, very beautiful with the Staatskapelle Dresden. He's a very good theatrical conductor because he's a very sensitive accompanist to his singers. But here, the Symphony fantastique, we always like to talk about it being hyper-romantic and hysterical and, drooling and insane. And it is. It is all of those things. It's about, after all, a hallucinatory drug trip, an attempt at suicide. So yes, it's definitely out there. But it's also a piece that requires a tremendous amount of smarts to do well, to balance it properly, to capture all of the orchestral detail, to structure each movement effectively. And Janowski has those qualities. So did Igor Markevich. Because Markevich was analytical. I mean, totally analytical. But he was analytical in a way that served the music. And that's the key. That's really the key. You can be incredibly precise. You could be incredibly logical. You could be, enormously careful with matters of rhythm and balance, as long as you're following what the composer says you should do. That's the key, right? That's why Markevich's Tchaikovsky is so marvelous. Yes, there are more hysterical versions of the Fifth Symphony, performances that moon over the romantic tunes and gush more. But if you look at what Tchaikovsky is asking for, and you look at what Markevich does, you see. And that's true here too. Take, for example, the March to the Scaffold, right? Everybody really looks forward to the March to the Scaffold because it's so creepy and bizarre. And you've got wonderful opportunities to make really, really alarming sounds in the orchestra. You've got the bassoons in the bottom going like that. And the brass, where you have Janowski observes the very careful distinction between forte and fortissimo. Now, you might think that could be fussy, right? Because they're going da 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 da. You just want to let it rip, but you don't want to let it rip quite yet because it's going to go crazy at the end of the movement, and he lets it. But more to the point, you've got those low trombone pedal tones going like that while the tune is going on, and usually you don't even hear them. You don't hear them because the trumpets are too loud. Well, here, the trumpets aren't too loud. So you got the tune and you've got that creepy accompaniment. And so you have more color. It's more interesting because he's being careful to observe the dynamics, but not being fussy about it. Until you get to the March to the Scaffold, it's magnificent. The first movement just flows effortlessly. It's marvelously put together. The ball is dreamy. And it's a dream. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. The slow movement is not boring. I mean, it's really not. Usually it's like, you just want to die. But the scene in the country is, again, it's so properly paced and beautifully phrased. That long, lonely violin cantilena, it just floats over the music. It's wonderful. And the finale, okay. Yes, the finale could have more hysteria, but every orchestral detail, every screech and bump and groan and, the funereal bells and the tubas, it's all beautifully done because he's got the Pittsburgh Symphony, which sounds absolutely amazing, as it almost invariably does. And so what we have is a great symphony fantastique. So it may be that while we'll have to wait for, the miraculous appearance of a Beecham or a Munch, somebody who can just take the music and go completely uninhibitedly nuts over it. But if we can get somebody who has the right smarts and who takes the other approach, that more analytical approach, but also respects the composer's demands and realizes them to the hilt, then we're going to be in good shape. We really will. So there is hope. There is hope, all you Berliozians, and this may represent our best hope. Something of this type. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, give this a listen. It was very easy to overlook it when it came out because in 2007, PentaTone was, mostly reissuing old stuff from Philips, and, their new recordings weren't getting a lot of attention. They also, at the same time, did a magnificent Brahms cycle. So definitely worth checking out. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.